Today, you'll learn a little about the community you call home, Maple Heights. It's a brief local history of how it came to be, how it grew, and what kind of people did it produce for the world. The story of Maple Heights is similar to thousands of communities and is a microcosm of America. Learning this history is important for many reasons. Thousands and thousands of kids came before you from Maple. Many went out in the world and did great things. There was a direct correlation between their success and the foundation they received from our schools and the community itself. We reached out to our alumni and asked them to help craft a message for all Maple kids. What message or advice can they give that will help you succeed in school and in life? These are people who graduated from Maple from back in the 1950s to the mid-2000s. In other words, they're going to give you their best advice and wisdom from decades of living, working, raising a family, and being a part of their community. Your teachers and parents have the toughest job in the world. They do everything they can to teach you how to believe in yourself so you can create your own piece of pie in the world. Growing up in America requires special skills. Society has progressed and developed rapidly in so many ways, and our alumni are right in the middle of all of it. But back to the beginning. Where did Maple Heights start and who came?
So we are originally part of Bedford Township. Bedford Township broke up into 5 different localities, 5 being one still Bedford. We were the first area to break off. We broke off in 1915 and became our own township. So on this side of Maple Heights, we had the Hathaways, the Wheelers, the Dunhams. I think most people are familiar with them, mainly because a lot of streets around here are named after them. This location, the Maple Heights Historical Society and the Little Red Schoolhouse, is actually on land donated by the Wheelers and Dunham families. It was originally part of the original Dunham settlement, which comes off the Western Reserve settlement. The Dunham family was a large family that settled a lot of different property in Northeast Ohio. There's the Dunham house down in Cleveland on Euclid. So they had large tracts of land.
Farmers.
Yeah, big farmers and just settlers. They were coming west to settle the United States.
They brought different things. So some of them were more industrialists, like Benjamin Fitch. He was a furniture maker. He started Taylor Chair. There's a lot of history about him, obviously, in Bedford. Taylor Chair Corporation lasted well into the early 2000s. I believe it was started in the 1830-ish, give or take.
So this school was started in 1867, was when the initial documents of starting to split off the land from the Wheeler farm. The school was built in 1872. It took a couple years for the split, the build, and to raise funds for the build. The first teacher here was a Hathaway. He fought in the Civil War and came here and taught for a few years, and then it was Zion is an offshoot of St. John's, and they partnered a lot, the Lutheran churches, and so it was the daughter of the St. John pastor who came here and taught at the request of the Zion Lutheran Church, and so she took over for the Hathaways.
So this was all grades, right?
Mm-hmm. It was K through 8. I don't really know if they had K, so probably shouldn't say that, 1st through 8th. We did not have a high school at the time in Maple Heights. Most of the suburbs, and I use that term loosely, in the late 1800s, did not have high schools, so the closest high school was in Cleveland. If children from this area wanted to go to school past 8th grade, their parents had to make arrangements to send them to Cleveland High School.
And how did they get to that Cleveland High School?
Most kids did not go because it was farming. It was agrarian lifestyles. Most people did not go to school past 8th grade. So I've been volunteering here a long time, and this museum was founded by Maple Heights teachers. So this is This is a testament to Maple Heights teachers. On their free time, they created a historical society to preserve Maple history. I had great teachers in Maple Heights, as I'm sure you did, but I get to hear the stories of all these wonderful teachers who influenced all sorts of different people. It is the Maple Heights Museum. However, look around this place, there's a ton of school history, and there's a reason for that because it really did bring a lot of people together. I had the benefit of being one of the founders of the Maple Education Foundation, so I get to continue to read scholarship applications, and I'm always amazed because still today the kids talk about these influential teachers that really shaped who they are as human beings and inspired them. So that tradition of great teachers continues today. So that's an awesome thing.
Between 1900 and 1920, 14.5 million immigrants, mostly from Eastern Europe, came to the United States. Germans, Hungarians, Slovaks, Czechoslovakians, Italians, Irish, English, Jews, and more came because they heard of the American dream.
St. Wenceslas Church is a Bohemian church. It's a Catholic church, but it is a large Bohemian congregation. It is, I've always been told, I'm not Bohemian, but that it is the largest Bohemian settlement outside of Bohemia. So it attracted a lot of Bohemians in cultures that were very similar. So Eastern European bloc, Slovaks, Croatians, Polish, settlers to this area, or immigrants that were coming. So after World War II, everyone pretty much knows there was a major baby boom in the United States and across the world. That required an upbuild of first-time home buyers. The GI Bill and other things that having the draft and serving provided for a lot of these young families with some money to buy first houses. And so communities responded, Maple Heights being one of them. We're an inner ring suburb to Cleveland, meaning we're right on the border, and they helped meet that need by building lots of first-time homebuyer homes.
The black community that's settled here since came for the same reason.
And we all know that economically, black people have struggled in this country. So I would say this is like the first-time home buyers. You know, these are the classic people coming out of the city, just like my grandparents were moving in here, was to try to buy their first house. And so they came here. It's a great city for that. It continues to be a good city for that. Its location is great to a lot of different services and amenities of Cleveland, as well as just work and transportation, which make it a great place to buy your first home.
At this time also, Cleveland was growing, so Maple Heights was growing. Mm-hmm. And I assume we fed that job market.
Absolutely. Lemco is a big company here, as well as we had Lear Siegler, formerly Jack and Heinz. So they were big during World War II. These were major employers in Maple Heights, as well as Cook United. You had a lot of young guys coming back from the war. They needed jobs. So that actually helped grow and feed the economy here as well.
So Maple Heights kind of grew from a traditional suburb, from a small farming community to a traditional suburb.
Absolutely.
And our kids kind of grew up with that, didn't they?
For sure. All these young families were also having children. So besides for having this influx of all these young families that then needed jobs that grew industry, they then had children, which also grew the child community. So schools, libraries, public pools, and all the things that make growing up in a young community really nice for young families.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964 gave federal law enforcement agencies the power to prevent racial discrimination in employment, voting, and the use of public facilities. One man in Maple Heights took it to the test. Leroy Colley was born in 1928 and was a lifelong resident of Maple Heights.
When he moved here, his family came, and there wasn't a whole lot of areas that black people could move at that time. So President's Row is how it's been termed, which were the streets named after presidents right off of Broadway, were pretty much where the city redlined black people where they could live and buy homes. So that's where he grew up. I would say that Maple Heights was never technically like an all-white city. There, as far back as I can see in our city's history, and the city only became its own off of Bedford in 1915. There has always been black families in this community. However, our history shows that it wasn't always integrated the way it is today, much less now where it is predominantly black. Leroy helped to shape a lot of that. He went to college, did really well in school, obviously. Came out of school, had a few jobs at Federal Reserve Bank, Sherwin-Williams, and then in Maple Heights he worked for Cook United, which was a huge company here at the time, as an executive, which was not common for black men of his time. He was also obviously very influenced by the civil rights movement that was going on throughout this country, and helped to bring a voice and a face to that, a local face. I mean, he was a homegrown kid. And so he was able to bring that message here to Maple Heights on ways Maple could advance as well as in ways that we were doing things. So he was instrumental in helping to fight to bring civil rights here to Maple Heights as well. So that opened up housing opportunities. So unlike his father, he was able to buy a house outside of President's Row. His kids graduated from Maple Heights. He raised his family here. He lived here his whole life, eventually retiring as the assistant to the mayor, the executive assistant, which was pretty cool, where he kept working to bring more equality to the city.
He had the opportunity to meet Martin Luther King and wanted to do in Maple Heights what Dr. King was doing nationwide, to open housing opportunity for black families. There were no black police or firemen and no black teachers in the system, and the demographics were changing. There were two issues to address: the schools and the city. Through Leroy's efforts and a group that he formed, the Southeast Civic Association, the federal government got involved, and in 1975, an affirmative action plan was implemented within the Board of Education. 2 years later, in 1977, a fair housing law was passed in Maple Heights that said black families could live anywhere in the city, not just on the President's streets. This opened the door for black employment in the city, because if you worked for the city, you had to live in the city. It was not easy for Leroy or his family going through all the proceedings. He said what made him persevere was his belief in Jesus Christ. In his later years, he became a deacon at the Mount Zion Church of Oakwood Village. Leroy died in June of 2013 at 85 years old. Now, meet some of your alumni who use the tools of their time to build a life. If they can, you can too. Dale Cantor was a 1964 graduate of Maple Heights. He grew up on the west side, on Brunswick, and his family, like most others, was from the World War II generation. Over 16 million Americans served from 1940 to 1945. Dale's father and most of his neighbors were born during the Great Depression in the 1920s and 30s, where everyone was poor. America entered World War II in 1941, and a united population created the America that became the leader of the free world. The economic power and innovation from American entrepreneurs and universities took the world from riding horses to standing on the moon in less than a century. We not only believed America was the best nation in the world, our innovation proved it.
Growing up on Brunswick Avenue, I do remember as the street started to fill with World War II veterans coming back and going through the GI Bill to buy homes. They built all these bungalows, and the price was about $6,000, but none of them had garages. So all the fathers would get together and work on one garage at a time. They had a bricklayer, they had an electrician, they had a carpenter, and then they had a lot of the fathers just laborers, and they would put these garages. Maybe they'd do one a week.
The mantra that was passed down to their kids in Maple Heights was education, education, education.
Well, we grew up under the threat of communism and nuclear war after World War II was over, and they were teaching the kids how to dive under their desk if a bomb dropped. So that was always part of our childhood, and it was kind of instilled in us that communism was a bad thing. And South Vietnam was being overrun by communists, at least at that time. That was the perceived actions that were taking place there.
After graduation, Dale was drafted in the Army to fight in Vietnam from 1965 to 1967. He was in the 25th Tropic Lightning Division and received a Purple Heart. The 25th was one of the first divisions to fight in Vietnam and the last to leave. In 7 years of combat, the 25th fought in every major battle around the South Vietnamese capital, Saigon.
100 meters away from it now, just from there.
In Vietnam, our military never lost a major engagement, but yet we lost the war. Some people don't like to admit that, but we did.
We did.
But we lost it politically. We didn't lose it militarily. And if a nation is not going to support its troops and go out to win, then it's a political folly, and those names on that wall stand as testament to that. The history of Maple Heights would not be complete if it failed to mention the men and women who served our nation through military service. From the very founding of Maple Heights, residents have been willing to serve during times of war and peace to preserve our nation's ideals. Sadly, many of those who served paid the ultimate price for those preservations. It could be said that they were willing to serve in some of the most dangerous places in the world. In the words of philosopher G.K. Chesterton, not because they hated what was in front of them, but because they loved what they left behind. The day we forget to honor those who willingly defended our nation's freedoms and the freedoms our nation was founded on will be the day those freedoms begin to fade. There's a monument in front of Maple Heights City Hall dedicated to those of the community who served in our nation's military. It stands as a testament to the community's ideals and respect for that service. Well, I guess in a way it's honorable that Maple Heights realizes that we need to protect the freedoms that we have. And not every country, until you go to another country and see the way that some of them, the rules they live under, you don't realize how great our freedoms are. Perhaps those people in the 40s and 50s who went off to fight in World War II in Korea knew that. And they were willing to sacrifice to preserve those freedoms that we have. Our military today, those people now serving, still see that as their motivation to serve. If I got nothing else out of that war, I got that. For a time in my life, I walked among brave men.
Dale Cantor served as Maple Heights Chief of Police from 1988 until 2002. Today, with his son and other retired police partners, they started a classic car business, Blue Line Classics, and because of his labor, his service, his belief in himself, his values. He is living his American dream.
You can be taught, but you can't learn unless you want to. So keep an open mind, learn, and receive that education, and then push yourself. There's things you might not think you can accomplish, but you don't know till you try. So don't give up. Just give it a shot and see if you can pull through with it. Never quit learning. That's a key to life, I think. You never quit learning. You're never going to know everything, and you're going to fail at times and time. But like I said, use those failures as learning lessons for motivation to succeed.
Athletics has always been a big deal in Maple Heights. So many kids give credit to athletics for helping turn their life around. Jamie Milkovich has been teaching and coaching at Maple Heights longer than anyone in its history. A state champion, two-time All-American in college, Jamie has kept Maple Heights Wrestling as a top-tier program in the state for over 43 years.
From 1957 to 1977, Maple Heights Wrestling was either first or second in the state virtually every year. And the community became synonymous with wrestling. And my uncle, Mike Milkovich Sr., was pretty much the king of wrestling, not only in Ohio, but nationwide at the high school level, and was well known on the NCAA level for his recruitment of wrestlers. And the school district wanted to do something to honor the legacy of what wrestling had been to the students. And they decided in 1983, the fall of '83, that we had an East and a West Junior High School, and we closed West Junior High School, and there really wasn't a need for an East Junior High School without a West. And under unanimous support from the school board, they named it Milkovich Middle School to honor the wrestling legacy. Well, we won 10 state wrestling championships. We were runner-up another 9 times. But even more than that, it's sort of like the Green Bay Packers. We hit during an era where sports were very important to the baby boom generation. We call it the golden era of wrestling, and Maple Heights was at the top of the peak in wrestling nationwide. Our uniforms were recognizable from across the gym. Wrestlers went on to colleges and became NCAA champions, NCAA All-Americans, and the legacy just grew from there to be something that the entire community was proud of, to contribute to. Maple Heights is believed to have the record with over 800 dual meet wins. 44 state champions, still ranks in the top 3 in statewide. And pretty much any record that deals with longevity, Maple Heights holds it at the Ohio high school level. I think even in the world today, athletics is becoming more important to the student athlete because of their networking, the framework that they have to work within. You see today so much of the social networking has become popular, but being on a team with teammates, standing up for the person who's next to you on the mat or on the field or on the court, and developing those relationships is so important, and they last you lifelong. I mean, we say networking is so important, and sports has really been an important way for a lot of athletes in all sports. Every person is going to come across adversity in their life. I don't know where it will be. Will it be a medical condition? Will it be a loss of a loved one? But in sports, you're not always going to be the winner. And when you walk off that, you probably learn more from walking off the mat, off the court, off the field, in a losing situation than you do in a winning situation. And that's when you have to come to grips really internally with yourself and learn about adversity, learn about when the outcome doesn't come out your way. And it also teaches you that you have to do a little in the classroom also. There's a lot of athletes that realize I've put all my time into the sport, but I have to put as much time into the books if I'm going to go on and do this at another level, at the college level. You know, when you start your practice at the beginning of the year and you give a message to the team, an outlook statement, and I always tell them don't sell themselves short. It's going to be hard in life no matter where we go, but they have a lot of talent, and they say that every person's better than 100 other people at something. It's finding that something and moving forward, and be proud of Maple Heights. There's a lot of people that came here before you that have gone on to great success, came off the same streets, the same bungalows, practiced in the same fields, and they've gone on to be very successful on national levels, not only with making a lot of money, but gain fame. And I wish you the best of luck on that.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is an iconic landmark in Cleveland. a Maple Heights girl, had a role in establishing the Hall of Fame here in Cleveland. Dr. Carol Cunningham, a 1978 graduate of Maple Heights, was there in the beginning, advocating, lobbying, getting signatures, doing media, all the necessary things that had to be done to bring it to Cleveland. Today, she is honored to be on the Board of Trustees for the Hall of Fame. Her love of music started as a child, but was developed in 7th grade in Maple Heights, and later in high school by music teachers Al Melfi and John Stone. Carol is also one of the very few people from Maple who have ever sat in the chair in the Oval Office of the President of the United States.
I was invited to do a presentation at the White House. It was the first time I had ever, I've done them multiple since, but it was the first time. And, I prepped and everything. It was a big deal, and, you didn't have to stand there with the time ticket. But when I was there, it was when President Bush was in office. And I had actually met him and had my picture taken with him before because I was on a presidential medical detail when he was in Ohio. And I was there doing a presentation for Homeland Security and at the invitation of Condoleezza Rice. I'm walking down a hallway I've never been in before, and they open up the French doors, and it's the Oval Office, and the president's sitting there, and she very formally introduces us. I said, actually we've met. And he's like, yeah, Dr. Cunningham, come on in and have a seat. And I just, I can't tell you what it's like to be, for somebody from Maple Heights to be sitting in the Oval Office having a conversation, with the president. But on the flight home, I flew out of Reagan Airport, and it was a clear night, and as we were circling, you're looking down at all the buildings, and that was after 9/11. Now you see the Pentagon rebuilt, and it was just a moment where, people, it bothers me when people criticize America, but America, nothing's perfect, but America truly is the land of opportunity if you choose to take those opportunities and not close the door on yourself. I thought, how did somebody from me get from Maple Heights to sitting in the Oval Office? And it came to me that it was the knowledge of the science, to be able to communicate that, the ability to communicate, and then just having balance in your life. And music was my balance.
Your father was a military man.
Yeah.
And he loved this country.
Yes.
With all the racial stuff going on, why did he still love the country?
He never, first of all, bitterness holds you back, whether it's out of anger or racism or whatever, it just holds you back. So, you have to acknowledge that it's there, but don't let it hold you back. He grew up in poverty in Alabama, 8 boys, 5 girls, 2 parents, in a 3-bedroom house that had a dirt floor. But they stuck together. All of them got college degrees, and they did it through the GI Bill. And they, like the older ones, when they got through, they would help the younger ones. But he just, especially with a girl, he never taught me how to think or say I can't. Even if it was a crazy idea I had, we would sit down and try and do it. And he always taught, he was a military guy, so, there's lessons learned, and if you made a mistake, it's not a failure, it's a lesson. I have two sayings that's in my office. Number one, personal quotes. Never rest your laurels at the feet of mediocrity. Even when you think you've created something good, go back and look at the real, try and make it better. And 2, a giggle a day keeps the coroner away. You got to be having fun with whatever you're doing. And laughter is good medicine. But I think people feel like they have to be in a group. But you will have a more interesting life if you cut a path. Even just stand up. If you know you're right, stand up, even if you're standing up alone, and serving the people. don't put the light on yourself. As long as you're doing what's good for the people, you'll always win the argument eventually, and you'll be helping somebody else out, whether they want the help or not, whether they hate you or not. Just try and make the world a better place.
Give your definition of personal responsibility.
Personal responsibility for me is acknowledging my mistakes and taking ownership of my mistakes and not trying to blame anybody else. Knowing that nobody's perfect, and I still make mistakes, but I own them.
We've all seen military jets and rocket flights from NASA. Next time you watch, there's a little bit of Maple Heights on those vehicles, and Bob Gray, a 1978 graduate, created it. He and a partner started a company, Maverick Corporation, to develop a new kind of polymer, or plastic. Polymers are chemical reactions that bring small molecules together to make a large molecule. Think of it like making a pizza. The ingredients and toppings are like molecules. Put them all together, you make a pizza. And you can make hundreds of kinds of pizza. It takes education, knowing ingredients, the technology, like a good oven, and creativity, knowing the right toppings and how much to make a great pizza. If you like science, specifically chemicals like Bob Gray, you would mix these chemicals to create a product and start a business, just like the local pizza place. The education and creativity to start a polymer business started right here in Maple Heights.
Science, but I've always had a love for science. Either you have it or you don't. And going to school with Carol, I was probably in every single class Carol was in. And I think we both enjoyed science quite a bit. Math, science. So I've always had the right left brain going with the science part as well as the music part. And even in science, the creativity has helped me create polymers and materials that are flying today in jet engines and in aircraft. The businesses that I've created over the years have to do with putting plastics into jet engines and aircraft. But these are very high temperature polymers, so they operate at 600 or 700 degrees Fahrenheit in these applications. So our goal is to replace titanium, which is a heavy metal.
Was there a teacher at Maple Heights that kind of inspired you more than others?
I'm with Carol on this one. Mr. Tate, obviously physics, he was amazing. A good one. Mr. Peck, philosophy. Having philosophy in high school, it opens your mind, right? Where kids are stuck, a lot of times in a rut. And Mr. Peck opened us up to thinking outside the box a little bit. And of course, Mr. Melfi, and don't forget Mr. Stone, who we had. These music directors were phenomenal. And Carol and I were in the jazz band together, marching band, and Mr. Melfi let us do pretty much anything we wanted. I think it's super important because it opens up the other side of your brain, right? I mean, even if you don't play music, right, you should at least listen to it, and enjoy it. And, it's so much part of everyone's life, and it doesn't have to be jazz or, it's just whatever people like, but it opens up your mind and your creativity. And even if you like to cook, right, when you want to put some tunes on and enjoy, and Carol said it before, you want to sing and dance like no one's looking.
What's your best advice for kids?
Well, in my opinion, it's, behave a little bit, stay on the straight and narrow, work hard, be smart about what you do. honestly, today, put away your cell phone and read a book. You know, you'll never be successful if you can't handle failure. And trust me, I've had a lot of them over the years. And you have to pick yourself up and you have to learn from it. The risk is there's no money. There's no money coming in. And because we were developing polymers and materials for aircraft, it takes 2 years to qualify those materials. So we were making a 2-year commitment to pretty much be broke for 2 years. But it was a touchy time. It really was. We were wondering if it was going to pay off, but it absolutely did. Because when you have a small business, a couple things. You're never on vacation. Because even if you are on vacation, you got your cell phone, your computer, everything's moving at rapid fire. I've never been in the military. I never served. However, the materials I've created in my lifetime are on military platforms. They're on the Joint Strike Fighter. You know, they're on the new bomber that Northrop's building. So I've created materials that give the U.S. a competitive advantage over the rest of the world. And these polymers and materials I make or did make are classified. Some of them are classified. Some of them you have to have a secret clearance. And I get a good feeling supporting the United States and the warfighter. Like, I'm proud of that.
Henry Ford once said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Maple alumni Mike DiDomenico was always one who believed he could. Mike was one of our first superstar state champions. He placed second in the state as a freshman, but didn't win the state championship until he was a senior. It was the losses that made him a champion, and that's the lesson here. He learned from the losses. He had to make himself overcome the mistakes. He had to take responsibility if he was going to accomplish his dream. It's the same formula he used in creating a multi-million-dollar landscaping company. He started with his father, a lawnmower, and an old milk truck. Today, with his sons, S&M Landscaping, Irrigation and Lighting is still growing. What started over 60 years ago with one lawnmower now designs landscapes for homes and businesses all over Northeast Ohio. Cutting the grass became artwork.
It's not so much the state championship is what leads up to the state championship. Like in anything, you learn more from your losses than you learn from your wins in life. So what I learned from that was to be successful, you have to work at it. You have to, what did I do wrong? What can I do better? And that's basically what I do in my life now and in my marriage, bringing up my children, and in business. I think more than a starting point, you need a vision, okay? Without a vision, I don't know if you can make it or not in anything. And I think that's the problem with so many young people today. They don't have a vision. Everybody has a talent. My talent, I thought, was wrestling, but actually was landscaping. I was good at cutting grass, but I found out later on that I have an artistic talent, and that's my talent. The most important skills are common sense. Common sense. Everybody thinks you have to be a genius. Everybody thinks you have to be brilliant. You really need common sense and have a vision for what you want to do in life. A lot of times, a young guy thinks he can't do things. You know, it takes so much to do this. I don't think I have. You can't You cannot talk yourself out of success. You have to talk yourself into it. And for the young guys in Maple Heights, they have to know there's a future. If it isn't grass cutting, okay, which is kind of simple, hardly can make a mistake, and especially if you take a lot of care in what you're doing, okay? Hey, look, I have Jesus as my partner. He's there for me. I said, and if you don't have him in your life, you should try it out. He will be there for you. He's just waiting. I prayed when I was wrestling as well. I never got down on him when I lost. I felt, hey, listen, I got to work harder. And in life, that's what happens. You can't get down and blame other people for your failures. You have to blame yourself. You have to take that responsibility on yourself. And okay, what can I do better? And that's every day. That's got to happen. What can I do to be better? Business, better father, better husband. And I think that's lacking. And it's such an important thing.
Maple Heights graduates are making their mark across the country and even beyond our planet. One shining example is Carl Sandifer II, a NASA engineer whose work contributes to missions that reach as far as Mars and beyond. Carl's journey began right here in Maple Heights as a 7th grader. He was laying the groundwork in mathematics that would one day launch him into a career in aerospace engineering. Today, he works with NASA in Cleveland near Hopkins International Airport, helping to push the boundaries of human knowledge and exploration. NASA's mission is to explore the unknown and apply what it discovers for the benefit of humanity. It's inspiring to know that a piece of Maple Heights is part of that incredible mission.
So I was at a scholarship banquet in high school, got a scholarship and was still trying to figure out where I wanted to go to school. And the keynote speaker at that banquet mentioned that he worked at NASA. And so after he was done talking, got his contact information and said, okay, I've got someone amazing to add to the network. And so I went to Bowling Green State University, got a really good scholarship there. And after a few semesters, I was able to carry a high GPA, carried a 4.0. And then I said, oh, you know what? I met that gentleman at NASA Glenn. So I gave him a call. And after several weeks, so there was some persistence in there because this particular person was a manager, really busy. So I called each week and he would say, Carl, thanks for calling. I'm really busy at this time. Try again next week. I did that about 6 weeks in a row. But finally, he said, hey, here's our co-op information, which was the internship program at the time. Currently, it's called the Pathways program. Anywho, he said, here's the information. I filled out the application, did all the processes, and next thing you know, I got called for an interview, which I couldn't believe. It was outstanding. Got the interview, got the job, and I've actually been at NASA since. And so the co-op programs, the internship programs from Bowling Green, enabled me to apply for the job to get here after college. And I've been here, like I said, since. So it's been about 24 years here at NASA Glenn. I always said, I'd love to be able to do something with Mars. And so I've had the opportunity to support the Mars program through the Mars Perseverance mission. It launched a few years ago. And I'm happy to say that we were able to work with our partners at the Department of Energy to develop the plutonium-238 fuel, which that heat decay from the plutonium, we're able to take that heat, extrapolate it to turn it into electricity, and now we have a long-term source of power. One of the next big projects that we have going on right now is called Dragonfly. That mission is going to launch in July timeframe of 2028. Actually, here's a model of the Dragonfly rover now. The Dragonfly drone. Take this cap off the model here. So here is what's called our multi-mission radioisotope thermoelectric generator. Produces about 110 watts at the beginning of the mission, which is approximately the amount of power that you'd have for your standard at-home household light bulb. But we're able to design our system so efficiently that you can use that 110 watts to make all of the instrumentation work. And so if you go online and check out our websites, you can see pictures and video. You can hear what Mars sounds like. We are going to Titan, which is the largest moon of Saturn. And you may ask, why are we going there? So it's one of the only places that we found within our solar system that has a weather cycle similar to Earth. And so its hydrological cycle is similar to Earth in that it rains methane just like it rains water here. And so when you compare the two celestial bodies, they're very similar. So we're actually putting instrumentation on this drone to kind of show or better understand that prebiotic chemistry, understand if there was life on Titan, if there is life on Titan. And I guess one thing I didn't mention, if there is life out there, we want to be one of the teams to find it.
NASA wants to expand in Cleveland. What suggestions do you have for kids who might be interested in this kind of a career? What's the pathway? And how important is character?
So, several great thoughts there. First, of course, I was an applied mathematics major. I always loved math. I'm going to encourage the students to, of course, focus on science, technology, engineering, math, the arts. But I'll say that just about every occupation is at NASA. So we have medical doctors, we have folks interested in business, marketing, folks that are interested in graphic design. We have just about every type of talent here at NASA. And so most of the time you think of STEM, but we support STEM and beyond as well. And in terms of character, we have a strong culture of respect here. We all respect one another. Teamwork is so important. From my leadership style standpoint, I really work to tap into the genius of those around me. I don't come in assuming that I have all the ideas. I think I have some pretty decent ideas, but I'm not going to come in and pre-assume that my idea is going to be the one to fly. I want to hear all the interesting ideas of my team and pull out the best one and make that be the solution that flies.
Excuse me. NASA has always hired women. Many girls might not have thought about a career over here.
So I'll say that women are amazing. A good portion of my team are ladies, do a phenomenal job, some of the smartest people I know, and I absolutely love working with them. And so I would encourage ladies and folks of all backgrounds to apply for positions in STEM, and of course, take a look at NASA. One of my goals out of all this is eventually the students that hopefully will be listening to this talk, maybe they can come work with me at some point before I retire. I would absolutely love that. And so if any of the things that we do inspire them, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to get to work with them someday.
NASA does have internships, right?
That's right. Pathways program. And
Pathways.
so I would tell the students to Google Pathways, NASA Pathways, and get more information about it. It talks about all the programming, opportunities out there throughout the nation. There's 10 NASA centers, and so whatever suits their needs, take a look and apply. So I'll say I'm a family man, and I'm God-fearing. So I have a wife, I have 3 amazing children. I just became a grandfather, and so life outside of here, being a good role model for my family, for my friends, is important to me. And of course, as I mentioned, never thought in a million years that I would be able to do something to support the Mars program. And now I'm in a situation where I'm looking throughout the solar system, seeing how I can have impact. So I know So the thing that makes me proud is to be able to have influence, to be able to do something to make the world a better place. I know that sounds cliche, but when I wake up in the morning, I say, hey, how am I going to make someone's life better? How am I going to make America's life better? How am I going to make the globe better?
And mentoring, once again. You would love to mentor
Absolutely.
more kids.
That's right.
So if you can do it, can others do it?
I would argue that if I can do it, they can do it better. That the next generation of students are just absolutely incredible. And so I'm looking for opportunities to unlock that talent and bring them into the workforce.
Summer, summer, summer. It's like a merry-go-round.
Y'all be sleeping, but we daydreaming. You're afraid of us. Oh, don't feel bad, don't look back. Why can't we just let it be? 'Cause y'all be watching and y'all keep talking. Sooner or later, you have to let go and breathe. Yeah, 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 yeah. I got my head up in the clouds.
What you talking about? Say you don't know the Cleveland beat. What you talking about? Say you don't know the Cleveland beat. You must be crazy. You must be crazy.
Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things.
Like so many communities across America, we come from blue-collar roots, ordinary people doing extraordinary things. What sets us apart is the strength of our schools, the dedication of our teachers and coaches, and the heart of our community organizations. They are the foundation of something special. Our sports teams, the marching band, the choir, the clubs, they're more than just activities. They're the moments that become lifelong memories. They shape who we are. Maple Heights isn't just a place on the map. It's the community that raised you. If you want to build a successful life, start by listening to those who came before you. Your alumni have walked this path. They will tell you, educate yourself. The more you learn, the more you'll earn. Listen to your teachers. They will give you the tools you need to build your life. This is Maple Pride, and it lives in you. Now Carlos Jones and the Push will take us on out.
Far away, yes, God, I did survive. There is a land far, far away, yes, God, I did survive. The ruler of that land, which is far away, his name is King Selassie. The ruler of that land, which is in the east, his name is King Selassie. So I tell you, there is a land far, far away. Yes, God, I did survive. Lord have mercy. I live